3 months ago, I moved into my uncle's house thinking it would be the safest place in the world. But one night, I discovered something in that house that completely changed my life forever. My name is Ava, and I'm 22 years old. If you'd asked me a year ago how I imagined my life, I would have said, finish college, work on my graphic design projects, maybe even start freelancing full-time. Life felt like it was slowly falling into place, or at least that's what I thought. But life, as I quickly learned, rarely goes according to plan. 3 months ago, I ended up moving into my uncle Nathan's countryside home, a place that looked peaceful, safe, and ordinary from the outside. But what I discovered there was far from ordinary. Here's how it all began. My parents divorced when I was 13. At the time, it felt like my world had shattered. My mom worked long hours trying to make ends meet, and we moved constantly new apartments, new schools, new cities. Stability wasn't a thing I was allowed to experience. I spent most of my teen years trying to adapt, trying to find a home wherever life threw me. When I was 21, my mom received a job opportunity overseas. It was a dream offer, one she couldn't refuse. But it came with one huge complication. She would be away for almost a year. And that left me with a big problem. I had no place to stay near college. Dorms were full. Renting an apartment was expensive. That's when Nathan, my uncle, stepped in. Nathan wasn't like any other uncle. Growing up, he was the person who taught me how to ride a bike, fix broken shelves, and even helped me buy my first car when I turned 18. He had a calm presence and a way of making problems seem smaller, more manageable. So when my mom explained the situation, Nathan didn't hesitate. Of course, Ava can stay with us, he said. She always have a place here. I thought it would be temporary, a few months at most. But 3 months later, I was still there, living in a house that was beginning to feel like its own universe, separate from the rest of the world. The house itself was beautiful. Nestled in the countryside, surrounded by tall trees and winding gravel roads, it had a quiet charm that made it feel far away from the chaos of the city. Nathan and his wife Victoria had been married for 2 years. Victoria was elegant, precise, and had a way of organizing everything in the house that made her presence felt without her even trying. She wasn't unkind, but she was reserved, and I sometimes felt like an outsider in her world. At first, I stayed in the guest room at the far end of the house, trying to keep out of the way. Victoria occasionally offered advice on cooking or cleaning, but mostly she left me to my own space. Nathan, on the other hand, was warm and welcoming, just as he had always been. He treated me like family, and I felt safe under his roof. For a while, everything seemed normal. I attended college, completed my projects, worked on my freelance assignments, and spent evenings in the quiet of the countryside, enjoying the peace I hadn't had for years. But life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. One evening, everything changed. I was working on a project in my room when I noticed that the house was unusually quiet. Victoria had gone out to meet a friend, and Nathan had been napping for hours. The kind of quiet that feels heavy, the kind that makes you notice every creak of the floorboards and every whisper of the wind outside. I thought I heard a sound from Nathan's room. At first, I ignored it, assuming it was just the old house settling. But then I heard the door creak slightly. My curiosity pulled me forward before I even realized it. I opened the door slowly. Nathan was asleep, lying on his back with one arm behind his head, soft sunlight streaming through the window. For a moment, I just stood there, watching him. noticing the calm lines of his face, the gentle rhythm of his breathing. And then I noticed something that made my heart skip. Something subtle, something almost imperceptible. There was a tension in the air that I couldn't explain. A strange energy that pulled at me, even though I knew I shouldn't be there. A vase on the bedside table wobbled slightly beneath my hand, and I froze. The sound of it hitting the floor made Nathan stir. His eyes opened, and for the briefest moment, we locked gazes. Confusion, warmth, and something else, something unspoken passed between us. He blinked a few times, trying to focus, then gave me a tired, gentle smile. "Ava, what are you doing here?" he asked. I froze, searching for words that wouldn't make me sound like I was sneaking around. I didn't mean to wake you," I stammered, my voice shaking slightly. He sat up slowly, rubbing his eyes. "It's okay. You can always talk to me, Ava. You know that." I nodded, my mind racing. Something had shifted in that room, something I didn't understand, something I couldn't put into words. The calmness I had felt living here was gone, replaced by a strange tension that made the house feel both familiar and completely unknown at the same time. That night, I realized that nothing about my stay at Nathan's house was going to be ordinary. Something was happening, something that would change the way I saw my family, my home, and even myself. And I had no idea how far this story was about to go. I barely slept that night. Every creak of the house, every whisper of the wind outside my window felt magnified. My mind replayed the brief moment in Nathan's room over and over his eyes, the way the air had changed, that silent pull between us. I knew it was wrong. I knew it shouldn't be happening. But at the same time, I couldn't ignore it. Something about that night had opened a door, and I didn't know if it could ever be closed again. The next morning, I tried to act normal. Nathan was downstairs in the kitchen, pouring coffee with that easy, habitual motion that made the house feel lived in. Victoria had already left for her yoga class. I told myself it was just another ordinary day, that nothing had changed, but my stomach twisted as I went about my routine. I found myself watching Nathan more than usual. Every glance, every smile, every casual gesture made my heart race. And I hated myself for it. How could I feel this way about him? He was my uncle. He had always been my mentor, my protector. That's what he was supposed to be, not whatever this tension between us had become. But as the day went on, the quiet moments alone with him only intensified the feeling. At lunch, we were alone in the kitchen. Nathan was making grilled sandwiches, while I sorted through some of my freelance project sketches. I tried to focus on my work, but my eyes kept drifting toward him. He glanced up and smiled, just the way he always did, completely unaware or maybe entirely aware of the storm he was stirring inside me. "Ava," he said casually, "how's your project coming along?" I swallowed hard, trying to steady my voice. "It's fine. Just trying to meet the deadline." He nodded, walking over to set the sandwiches on the table. "I know you're busy, but don't forget to take breaks. You get too caught up sometimes." It was such a normal thing to say, but the way he said it, the concern in his voice, made my pulse quicken. My fingers itched to reach out, to touch him, to feel some connection, but I held back. I reminded myself, over and over, that boundaries existed for a reason. After lunch, I returned to my room, pretending to work on a digital illustration. But my mind wasn't in it. Every so often, I would glance toward a hallway, half expecting him to appear, half hoping he wouldn't. Later that evening, Victoria returned home, humming softly as she carried her yoga bag through the house. She didn't notice the tension lingering in the air between Nathan and me. Or maybe she did but chose to remain quiet. She greeted us, kissed Nathan on the cheek, and asked me how my day had been. I gave her a polite answer, careful not to betray anything. But even her presence couldn't erase the memory of last night, the fleeting closeness, the spark that had been ignited between Nathan and me. That night I couldn't resist. I found myself standing outside Nathan's bedroom again. The door was slightly ajar. My heart raced, but curiosity pulled me forward. I reminded myself, one last time, that this was wrong, that this was dangerous, that I had to step back. I slowly pushed the door open. Nathan was awake this time, sitting on the bed with a book in his hands. The lamp cast a warm glow over his face. He looked up at me, startled but not angry. "Again?" he asked softly, a half-smile tugging at his lips. I shook my head. "I just needed to check on something." He set the book down, patting the space next to him. "You know you can talk to me, Ava. I'm here, always." I hesitated. My chest was tight, my palms clammy. I knew I shouldn't sit, but something inside me couldn't resist. I walked over and sat down. The room was quiet, except for the low hum of the heater. I could feel the tension again, the same energy that had terrified and thrilled me the night before. We didn't speak for a long moment. The air between us was heavy, charged with something unspoken. "Why is it like this?" I whispered finally. He didn't answer immediately. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face. His hand lingered for a second longer than necessary, and I shivered at the touch. "I don't know," he admitted, his voice low. "I don't know why it feels like this either. But it's real. And we can't ignore it." My heart pounded so loudly I was sure he could hear it. The reality of what we were feeling, what we were thinking, hit me all at once. The weight of desire, guilt, confusion, it was all collapsing into this single moment. I leaned slightly toward him. He didn't pull away. Not that night. Not then. For a few minutes, we just sat there breathing, feeling the unspoken connection, the impossible closeness. I could feel his warmth radiating through the space between us. My mind screamed that it was wrong, but my body betrayed me, drawn toward him, pulled by something I didn't understand. And then, a knock at the door. We both froze. My pulse doubled. Nathan glanced at me, confusion flashing across his face. "Ava, is that you?" Victoria's voice called softly from the other side. My stomach dropped. My mind raced. Panic set in like ice through my veins. "I'll handle it," Nathan whispered, his eyes dark with unspoken tension. "Go to your room." I didn't argue. I slipped quietly out of the room, my legs trembling as I walked down the hallway. Behind me, I could hear Nathan move to answer the door. Victoria's voice was calm, friendly, unaware of the storm that had just passed in that room. I shut my door and leaned against it, my heart still racing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every memory of Nathan's hand, his gaze, the energy between us, it all kept me awake, tangled in a mix of desire, confusion, and guilt. Over the next few days, life continued almost normally, if you could call it that. Victoria went about her routine. Nathan and I shared casual conversations, careful to avoid anything that could hint at the tension between us. But every glance, every accidental brush of the hand, reminded me that what had happened wasn't a mistake. It was a choice, or at least a temptation we were both struggling with. I started noticing subtle things, the way Nathan's eyes lingered on me when he thought I wasn't looking. The way he smiled a little too warmly. The way he seemed to find excuses to be near me. And I realized something terrifying. I wanted him to be near me too. One evening, as I was finishing up a project, I heard him call my name from the hallway. "Ava, can you come here for a moment?" I hesitated, heart pounding, but I obeyed. I walked to the living room. He was standing there, holding a book I had been struggling to find earlier. His expression was soft, yet I could see the strain behind his eyes. "Here," he said, handing me the book. Our fingers brushed lightly. That small touch, innocent in appearance, sent electricity shooting through me. "Thanks," I whispered, unable to look him directly in the eyes. "You're welcome," he said softly. There was a pause, heavy and loaded with meaning. "Ava, we need to talk. Really talk. About what happened. About what we're feeling." I nodded, my voice caught in my throat. "I know, I don't know how." He took a deep breath. "We'll figure it out. Together. But we have to be honest, and we have to be careful. This, whatever this is between us, is powerful. And it's dangerous." That night, I realized the gravity of our situation. We weren't just two people sharing an undeniable connection, we were family. And this connection could destroy everything if it went too far. Yet, I couldn't deny it. Not anymore. I fell asleep staring at the ceiling, the memory of his hand brushing mine, his soft gaze, and the unspoken promise between us lingering like a fire I couldn't extinguish. Little did I know, our lives were about to change in ways I could never have imagined. Something was coming, something that would force us to confront everything we had been trying to ignore.